Welcome to Hard Hats and Data Chats. This is our season finale episode. We are live here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we've been doing this all along. Steve and I have been virtual. We're here in person today.
Wow.
We've got a guest. So before we give you a full introduction, I'm just going to quickly say here that we've spent the season kind of digging into real challenges that the construction teams face.
Yep.
Talked about data silos, forecasting, KPIs, ERP realities, bunch of different things, data governance, AI readiness, how we can make builders make better decisions with their data. Today, we're closing out season 1 with a conversation about the future. Where is construction data headed? And so to talk about the future, we found a special guest.
Thank you.
Michael Pompey is here with us. He's the chief AI strategist at Aero Electronics, helping organizations turn AI strategy into practical business value. He has 20 plus years of experience as a CIO leading digital transformation, infrastructure modernization, and strategic growth. So we're really lucky to have you here with us today.
Listen, I'm glad to be part of the season finale of something. This sounds amazing.
So up until now, it's just me and Steve talking. So now we have someone else to join in.
Goodness, are we gonna have like a cliffhanger or something? Someone gonna die? We have to wait for sweets for season 2.
That's all. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we'll have kind of maybe Steve will kick this off, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'd like to start just by talking about ERPs in general. And as much as us ERP software vendors would like to wish, ERPs can't do everything. So, some stuff that's important to projects and managing work and construction, some of that data is not in the ERP. And when it's not in the ERP, you've got a silo, you've got duplication of effort, you've got bottlenecks, just takes extra time. And so, that's the real problem
Sure.
with data silos. And the best way to tackle those is with integration, good, clean integration. Hopefully it's a RESTful API or something like that. And data pipelines, data warehouses, data pipelines. Those things are becoming the real differentiators of what we're seeing.
Sure. So it's interesting hearing you describe that, right? Because as you're doing that lead in, it just sort of takes me back to it's the classic case of an issue being 10 inches from the keyboard, right? So whether it's you supplying an ERP, whether it's another hyperscaler coming in with their particular platform, if an organization doesn't take a hard look 10 inches from the keyboard, they're going to find themselves constrained. And that's the piece that it doesn't show up on a balance sheet. It doesn't show up on an RFP. It doesn't show up on a bid proposal. But that 10 inch from the keyboard work never goes away.
And it's usually pretty critical, whatever that 10-inch from the keyboard's doing or providing
It is.
to the field person, to the project manager.
And we see so many times like the discussion focuses on software.
It does.
But it's not software. It's what's your operational, what's your process?
Yeah.
Like, think about those things in addition to thinking about software.
Right.
Changing your software is not going to change everything overnight.
Well, no, but sometimes the software is the easiest thing. It's
Yeah.
tangible, something that's on the shelf, right? The CFO can actually see a quote proposal for it, a contract, money is left, right? You can actually see work has been done because you've acquired it.
Yeah.
But the other piece, right? Bringing everybody along, talking the line of business, everyone understanding what the data, that's the stuff it's not as tangible to see, but it's stuff that's definitely required. If not only going to make your ERP work, but if you actually want to leverage this thing people are talking about called AI, at some point we got to get to it.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Michael. I know you've worked with ERPs all of your career.
Yes. Well, listen, on the public sector side, there's so much work that you've got to do, right? You've got so many moving parts. Not only that, but you also have sort of a legal mandated obligation to serve your citizens. And you need something to get it done. I mean, there have been times where I've actually had to design ERP systems because there was nothing off the shelf that would get what my organization needed to get accomplished done, as well as tie all the data in. So we had to spin up a couple of them on our own. So I've tilted at that windmill for far too long.
Well, you're coming to us from a unique vantage point. So based on what you've seen, where do you see AI taking us? What is the role of AI with an ERP system, especially with construction.
Right. So here's the thing about AI, right? Because I know everybody loves to talk about it, and I love too, right? I mean, that's part of my role. But there's also a piece we can't let go of is what are people going to do with it, right? Because the AI is not going to do anything by itself. People are going to have to steer this thing in the direction that they want to go. So I can see two possibilities, right?
Hmm.
I can see a possibilities where, leadership decides to be courageous and brave and address some of these things and tell the truth and start leveraging the copious amounts of data that they already have as a true business asset and value and use these systems to protect their staff, right? Preserve the work that's actually valuable and eliminate the mundane. I can see that. But I can also see a world where folks use this to run straight to the bottom. What's the quickest, most easiest
Yeah.
way for me to shave budget? And if that means cutting headcount to only hire them 18 months later because the system doesn't work, they will do that because it will look good to the board of directors. I see that future happening at the same time. So I park my card over here, right? So I'm a dreamer, I'm a philosopher, I'm a lover. But I got to admit that there's that other possibility that can also happen with this
It's
stuff.
that leadership variable, which we've talked about a
Yeah.
couple of times in our
You
discussion.
don't get away from it. That train
No.
is never late. I wish there was a product that I could sell somebody that would eliminate all those issues because I'd be richer than Elon and I wouldn't lose 16% of my value in a week. All right. It's just because that need is actually established.
Mhm.
So yes, that's what I see.
So that's what we saw like 2-3 years ago when this whole cycle kicked off.
Mhm.
All of the tech conferences were saying we're doing AI, it's coming, it's going to be great.
Everybody's
Then
on
all
board.
the executives said, what are we doing with AI?
Right.
And it's taken a good 2 years for all these tech companies to actually decide, okay, this is what the product's going to look like, this is how we're going to incorporate. We're starting to see like these co-pilots and these tools being embedded in our tools. So like
Correct.
especially like I was saying in Word, now I can select some text in Word and ask it to do make some changes to that text, and I'm not copying and pasting between two tools as much as before. Seeing new tools coming out where I can just ask about my data directly within the tool.
Yeah.
When you look at the construction industry, construction data, what do you think is an opportunity that the leaders are underestimating or they haven't seen yet?
Well, it's interesting because I can't tell what every single leader has seen, but you can tell what they feel is important. And the way you tell what a leader feels is important is just where they put their energy, right? Where they put their investments. I think there's a tremendous opportunity in integrating data, right? Not only from your ERP systems, but I've seen some systems where not only have they've done that, they've integrated data. We're actually we'll be talking about it in the keynote tomorrow, where they've integrated biometric data from the actual workers at the job site, workers using guard hat with 360 cameras, actually filming the site, creating digital twins that they can use with forecasting, delivery, weather to predict when a site might actually have an issue. In theory, this could go to lower insurance rates because you are standing on top of a system that usually is reactive when it comes to injury, where now you're sort of predicting and forecasting, not replacing the safety manager, right? But giving him a set of eyes and ears beforehand, right? I can see it go in that direction. I think there's a tremendous opportunity. Like we were talking about earlier, Fraser, a lot of these organizations are sitting on a tremendous amount of data. You have to, right? You've got shipping deliveries, you got staffing, you got contractors, you got all these things. But if they're all over the place and you don't tie that together, that's a tremendous amount of insight that you're missing out on.
Well, and I think that's where there were misfires at the start, right? Because people thought, oh, we're just going to connect this AI up to our data and think we're going to get insights. And now it seems like there's been a backtrack. And now it's gone to like, we need to build a data warehouse. We need to like clean up that data. We need to make it, have actual descriptions and like a semantic model so that the tool can actually give us the results we're looking for.
And it's interesting too, because I remember, when this bell was rung, right? We just come out of the pandemic, right? The world was still sort of shaking off this, monumentous event. And then you have, Chat GPT, right? November of 2022 coming out and all the hype, right? Schools are over. Homework is over. Your job is over. All these different kind of things. And folks immediately jumped on that bandwagon, not realizing by doing so, right, they were sort of almost poisoning their own pill as it relates to data, related to what they expect to get out of it, right?
Mhm.
And then you see leaders who know they've got to do something, but I don't know what that is. All right, well, I just got to get started. Boards, hey, I don't want to have my organization be the one that's left out, right?
Yeah.
So FOMO's taking over. And listen, I hate to say it, but there are a lot of software companies out there that are more than willing to sell you something to make a buck, even if it doesn't
Yeah.
help you. And there
Yeah.
are plenty of them out there.
Or it doesn't even exist yet.
Hey, I don't know anything about that.
Solution of the moment.
You know,
Yeah.
good old vaporware. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You know, I really love the construction vertical market and the entrepreneurial environment that many contractors live in. But one of the things I think is interesting is the folks managing the work, project managers, the folks out at the job trailer. And as you think about AI and all the people losing their jobs over it and that sort of thing, the worry about that, I think managing construction work is one of those areas that won't be replaced by AI. It will be augmented, I think. That's my
Right.
opinion, but it won't be replaced. And those people, first of all, they're highly paid, very smart individuals typically. It's a paperwork intensive job for the kind of person who needs to be out running the
work.
project,
Right,
you know.
right.
So I wonder, you know, I think AI really is going to, for them, the tools for them will evolve more like an assistant, you know, like somebody following them around and let me research that for you, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, it's interesting you say that, right? Because, you know, because when this thing happened, you know, the first fear that folks had was, you know, is this going to take my job, right? You saw, you know, students who were maybe returning back to college after being remote during the COVID years saying, is this degree going to be worthless if this tool can do the exact same work? But when you think about where folks started to look, then you saw a tremendous interest in the trades and construction. Like, oh, well, guess what? It'll never touch this because AI can't, you know, put in a toilet or AI can't hang in sheetrock. You know, but on the other hand, you've got robotics not too far behind, right, coming through. But the interesting thing about, you know, whether AI can or should replace a person's job is the description you just gave for those employees. You shouldn't want to let go of somebody that's done this work for decades, knows the ins and outs, can tell by feel, right, when something is off. You don't want to lose that. But it takes a particular kind of leader, right, to think that way and to hold that value versus someone that says, hey, I see these as numbers on a sheet. I mean, we see examples now. I mean, my favorite example is the example of Salesforce, right? Mark Minhoff, CTO, went on all the shows. Oh, I'm going to lay off 40,000 of my analysts because AI can do the same job. Proceeded to do so, found out, guess what? This technology is brand new, isn't as good, quietly hired many of those back, right? Now, hired a lot of them back to train the model to be better, to maybe do that again. I don't know, but that's a value that I would hope a leader would not want to lose. I would hope he would take the mundane stuff that keeps them from being in the field and give that to the machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I hope he would do.
Because the people we're talking about are also money makers. They also do business development. You know, the reputation of the firm is based on their skills.
That relationship,
like,
that trust.
That's right.
Exactly, exactly. And a machine will never give you that.
Correct.
Yeah. It's actually like, you know, I get these emails from sales guys all the time, right? And then, you know, they're the new rep for our account, and it's this AI generated.
You can feel it.
You know, because it's totally off. Like the guy hasn't even read the notes on our customer.
Right. Doesn't even know you. If he knew you, he would knew not to send this to you, which is automatic. It's funny you say that because I think, you know, with this technology showing up in so many different places, right? Like you mentioned, you know, Microsoft and, you know, embedding it into your applications, and you're starting to see it in some of the cabs and some of the, you know, the different heavy machinery. It's going to force that other piece that it doesn't do well, right? That human value connection. It's going to bring that to the forefront. And unfortunately, for some folks, they haven't spent enough time honing that.
Yeah.
But the person that can hone that, right? The thing that makes us really valuable and can leverage this piece in a place where it needs to be leveraged is going to write their ticket. They are just going to write their ticket.
Agreed.
All right. So we touched on this already, right? And like I mentioned, you know, initially there was this push. What are we doing with AI? Now we're walking things back. We're talking about building the semantic model, building
Yeah.
the data warehouse, cleaning
Right.
up our
I mean,
data.
some organizations, interesting. Some organizations are still having that conversation, right? In fact, they've written the check to the big hyperscalers,
Mhm.
got a ton of licenses for their staff, right? Spent a lot of money. Now seeing the token usage go out the roof, and it's no longer what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
What are we going to be doing with AI? It's like, wait, what did we get for all of this stuff?
For all the
right?
work, yeah.
Yeah, and some of them are walking it back and
Yeah.
saying, you know what, let me take another
interesting.
look at this.
What's the value for
What
we're
what
doing?
were we, and it's interesting because when you unpack some of those folks, if they tell you the truth, so you might need some, liberal application of alcohol. They never really had a plan.
Yeah.
They didn't have a plan, or if they had a plan, it wasn't tied to the reality of what was actually happening in a workplace.
Yeah.
They thought Janet on the shop floor was doing X. They rolled this out, and it's like, I haven't been doing that for 3 years. No one asked.
Oh, and it's the same thing. You go off and you build this data warehouse, and you spend a year and all these resources,
Yeah.
and then what, right? Unless you have a goal in mind from the start.
Listen, and if folks, and it's funny listening to you talk about building data warehouses, because I, in my career, tilted my at the windmills of business intelligence and data warehouses and ETLs and data lake house and things like that. And at the end of the day, if line of business doesn't see the value in making sure their data is called the same thing in all the 3 different places, and they don't care and they're fine with it as is, you might be barking up a tree to explain the value of having this thing integrated and self-healing and adaptive. They don't understand.
Well, that's exactly it. I talked to a guy last night, and that's where their IT went, and they
Right.
built all that,
Right.
and then they gave him access to the tables eventually, and he's like, I know exactly what I'm looking for.
Right.
Like, just give me the
Just
access.
give me the. Oh, what's funny too is that you build all these systems, right? You have all the integrated dashboards or whatever. And what's the one thing that the users always ask for? I want to dump in the spreadsheet so I
Yeah.
can throw it in
Yeah.
Excel. I want to dump so I can throw it in Excel. So again, that trains
Well,
everyone.
but that's our job, is to, okay, what are you doing in Excel?
I'm not Neil yet. I just want to explore. Just give me the data. At some point, it's like, okay, fine. Here, you get a dump. Here's CSV. I stripped out all the pie. Go and knock yourself out. I'm tired of arguing with you anymore. You hear that conversation sometimes happen.
Yeah, exactly. I've had that many times.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
What do you think what's the one foundational thing construction firms have to fix before they can figure out what the value is and pick their direction?
So the one foundational thing, it's the same thing I would say to any organization, right? The foundational thing you need to, and I won't even say fix, because it may not be broken. And many of these organizations have been running fine for decades without having to have any of this latest technology. But the one area that I would say you would need to address is tying business value in a known way to what you do, so folks can understand. The interesting thing about being a CIO and being a CIO in the public sector is, when you're in that position, every dollar that I spent as a CIO was a political dollar. And it was a political because it meant someone else didn't get to spend it. So if I say, hey, I want to do a project for X, and I can't explain how my X is going to benefit their Y, then I just took money out your pocket.
Yeah.
But if you can understand why I need to go in this direction, then guess what? We're talking to the CFO. He's doing all the conversation. I need you to give Mike this money because this is going to help me do X. And I think a lot of organizations know they've got processes, they know they've got work, but when it comes time to say, okay, this is tied to this particular business value, that 10 inches from the keyboard work might not have been done enough, or it may not be well explained to staff so they understand why they're going in this direction and doesn't feel like, okay, great, we got another crazy Mike project that I got to do for some unknown reason. I don't know why, but they've been shielded from the realities of running business, right? All they got to do is take care of what's on the shop floor.
Yeah. Well, that's like when we talk to the construction, it's if it's an IT initiative, that it's just an uphill battle. But if it's coming from operations and it's going to help the margin, it's going to help the profitability of the jobs.
Right.
It's a whole other discussion.
Listen, look, I come from IT, so as I see, I'll tell the truth. I'll tell the IT truth, and I'll tell it to other IT leaders. You don't want it to be your project. Why would you want it to be your project when you can't control risk? You can't make the line of business do what you want to do, but you want this project? Don't. Let them have the project. You come along to support it. Let this be a business decision. That's smart. You know what I'm saying? Don't let it be an IT project. You don't want any IT projects. Don't have them. Just be support for the business.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, Michael, from where you sit, what's your vision or prediction, whatever you want to call it, of where all this data that construction companies collect, where's that headed in terms of AI and its use in the next decade? What do you think the trends are going to be?
So you're going to see two paths, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit earlier, right? So let's take the positive path, right? So the organization with the leadership that sees that my data, not the stuff that's in the internet, not the stuff that the big frontier models have been trained on, right? But the stuff that's in my systems provides me value. You're going to see them leverage that to build and integrate their own tools, right? To bring their own value versus taking their money, throwing it to a large, scale hypervisor that's done all the stuff for everybody else and just getting these generic results. But then you see the other path. You see another person that's going to stick to doing what they're doing, not necessarily leveraging the best of their data and not running as efficiently as they can, lag behind. And we know what happens when you start to lag behind. At some point, the market shows up, and I don't care how big you are, it does not care. Listen, as a Gen Xer, I remember certain, hallmark things from my childhood, right? Things like, Sears and Kmart and all these other kind of things that were just these bastions of, they're all gone. My kids don't even know what they are,
Yeah, right.
right?
Like going to Radio Shack to play with
Oh
the
my
technology.
goodness. Oh, yes. Oh man, you're working something. You know what? Oh man, I need to get a cable. Let me just run down to Radio Shack. and pick this. Nope, not anymore. Not anymore.
That's interesting.
But exactly. So that's what I see. And again, part of my mission and my job is to help, our business partners and their clients understand, not only where AI is going, but where they can actually bring value. And right now, it's going to be wringing value out of your own data that you have, because a lot of folks have moved things in the cloud, which is great for efficiency and things of that nature, but there's still a lot of stuff in your own systems, right? It's hidden in the emails that no one's read, right? It's in the PDFs. It's in
That's right. All the documents.
Right. Like what I like to call the Afghanistan of IT, which is SharePoint, right? Yeah. It's no one's ever locks that down. I don't care how good you are. No one ever locks that down.
Can I use that? That's pretty good.
Just give me credit for it. But no matter where it's at, that's where your value's going to come. If you can tie that in together, that can be your superpower. But it takes some foresight and some willing to roll the sleeves and dig in there.
Very good.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, this is the end of the season.
I'm sad.
It's been good talking to Steve, one-on-one, but
oh no, is this where Steve gets killed off? This is where Steve gets killed off the show?
no, this is next level.
I didn't tell me that. And
So thank you for joining us.
No,
and
thank you for the
sharing.
conversation.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Like I said, I do this day in, day out. I love having this conversation. I love the fact that I can tell the truth with the two of you, because I think a lot of times, the reality gets overshadowed by the hype as well as the fear. But I think it's in between those where we can actually find some value in a path.
Well, that's where we're getting towards, like the hype. We're getting past the hype, and we're trying to go into like practical, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So excellent.
Very good. All right.
Very good.
So yeah, we're already working on season 2. Hopefully we'll have some stuff to announce soon on that. So thank you for being here today and listening, and please follow, please subscribe, and we'll talk to you more next time.
Pound that like button, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All
I
right,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Good.
All right.
Oh no.
yeah, we knew
That
you were.
was great.
That's unrepeatable.